Good morning, it's February 11th, and this is To My Liberal Friends. Now, if you're watching the news these days, you have to be wondering what the Democrats are thinking. They're protesting every action Donald Trump takes and telling us we're in a constitutional crisis. That's their new buzzword up on Capitol Hill. But I have to assume that none of them have actually read Article 2 of the Constitution. And here's the key language as laid out by our founding fathers. In Section 1, it states clearly, the executive power shall be vested in a President of the United States of America. He shall hold this office during the term of 4 years, and together with the Vice President, chosen for the same term, be elected as follows, and it goes on to say how they're elected. But in Section 2, that delineates the real power of the office of the presidency. The President shall be the Commander-in-Chief of the Army and Navy of the United States and the militia of the several states. When called upon into actual service of the United States, he may require the opinion in writing of the principal officer in each of the executive departments upon any subject relating to the duties of their respective offices, and he shall have the power to grant reprieves and pardons for offenses against the United States, except in the cases of impeachment. Now read that language carefully. You understand the President has the power over the executive branch of government. He has it, and it's even further delineated in Section 3 of what exactly the President of the United States has when it comes to power. But Donald Trump's not playing by the rules that the Democrats want him to play by. They certainly are not looking at what the American public thinks of the actions being taken by President Trump. At this point in time, CBS conducted a poll, and Trump has his highest approval rating of all time at 53%. Rasmussen polling had him in at 52%. That's right, the American public agrees with President when it comes to shrinking the federal government and hopefully slashing government spending. These Democrats decry his executive orders, but they were sure mute when Joe Biden was signing executive order after another, even when the Supreme Court said he could not take some of those actions. Might be a bit of political bias in these phony news conferences they're holding, and they're standing outside government buildings, beating their chest and demanding to be let in. What do they think they're going to do when they get inside? Pretend they're college students protesting and taking over a government building? This past week, 4 employees at FEMA sent $59 million to New York City for costs associated with immigrants. This was a direct violation of senior management, and they've been terminated. But you don't see any Democrat being upset with abuse by these bureaucrats. They would probably applaud them, saying they do something they liked. So according to the CBS poll, the public is describing Trump some key words: tough, energetic, focused, and effective. Not the description you heard about Joe Biden, certainly not how the public describes Congress. Many say he's doing more than they expected. And those who say this most like what they see. Very few think he's doing less. His partisans and his voters in particular say he's got the right amount of focus on matters like ending diversity, equity, and inclusion programs and deporting those who are in the country illegally. His deportation policy finds majority approval overall, just as most voters said they wanted during the campaign. And that extends to sending troops to the border too. On the immigration issue, 59% they agree with what he's doing. A whopping 64% agree with sending troops to the U.S.-Mexican border. But Democrats must be tuned into a different channel, probably MSNBC, one that only they can view. They're out there trying to defend and protect federal bureaucrats. That's not going to win elections. The Democratic Party has chosen to defend those past few years, illegal immigrants over citizens, teachers' unions over parents and children, criminals over victims, men turn women over girls. Good luck with that, Democrats. You might want to fire your pollsters. Choosing to die on the hill of the right of permanent government officials to spend money without hindrance from the president's delegates is an especially odd decision. I'm trying to picture the voter who is currently sitting at home rooting for the employees of USAID employees or the Internal Revenue Service. I don't think there's many of them doing that. I think they're applauding the president, saying, let's get this burgeoning government under control. And yesterday, I mentioned the long-term electoral problem for Democrats due to population shifts. Policy fights like the ones they're making might accelerate those changes as the voters in this country start to realize that Democrats are for big government, deficit spending, and even every liberal idea they can conjure up. They've not learned anything from the November elections, and they put their hand in the proverbial sand. They better wise up or they'll be losing one year after another. And that's the way it goes in life. This has been To My Liberal Friends. Thanks for listening.